Innovation, security, programming, technology, development.
Let's begin.
DevSecOps. DevSecOps, your cybersecurity and technology podcast.
Hello, everyone. It's very nice to be back again, and to be honest, even better because I'm not alone today. I have a very nice guest that I'll introduce to you in a second. But our cast is not here, so Marcos is not here today. Ben-Hur is not here today, which is perfect. Those guys talk some shit a lot sometimes, so it's very good to be sometimes, just me, myself, my podcast here, and nice guest will be nice. For sure, they will not listen to this, which is also protecting myself. Guys, this is the episode number 170 something, if I'm not wrong. So more than 100 hours of content for you for free on DevSecOps podcast. So please go back, listen 1, 2, 3, and all of them. I'm pretty sure that you're gonna like it, and this content will be valuable for you. Before we start and jump to our introduction to our guest and the topic of today, it's good to remind that DevSecOps podcast has the support by Sneak and Nova 8, who is specialized in system security and secure code. The link for Nova 8 and Sneak distributor in Latin America, also in Poland, is below in the episode description on YouTube, also on devsecopspodcast.com.br. If you're looking for application security solutions, Digital Oak has a complete portfolio for you. And have you ever wondered, am I under attack? Any data or sensitive data was stolen? Or what is my risk at all? The Purplebird Security has all the answers to you. So get in touch with them. I'm pretty sure that they'll help you somehow. All right, so let's start the topic of today. Today I'm talking with Spos. Sorry if I didn't pronounce correct, but I believe I did good. It's the first Greek person in our podcast. We had people already from not everywhere, but Israel, Brazil, I don't know, US, Poland, German. Man, we had a lot of people guests here, but it's, I think, the first Greek one. That we'll be talking about Smithy Security. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, Spiros. But first, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. I'm pretty sure that we'll deliver to the community today some nice content, talk about the solutions, talk about how to help developers and build secure software. That's the whole goal of our careers, I would say. Again, thank you one more time. Please introduce yourself, talk to the audience, and we discuss.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Casio. I'm really, really glad to be here. I've been actually following the podcast for a while, and I'm a big fan. You guys have some really great content. Spiros Gasteratos. I'm the founder and CEO of Smithy Security. I've been doing open source development and application security for about 20 years now. I've done a lot of things with and without OWASP. Contributed to a lot of repositories, to a lot of places, even the Linux kernel back in time. And in the pandemic, I created a small open source tool called opencre.org that grew to become the largest security knowledge graph on the world. It's open source. You can find it on opencre.org. And after the pandemic, we realized that connecting standards, connecting security knowledge without connecting security action, there is not as effective, because you will always need to create tests for your application security practice to make sure that your developers and your practitioners and yourself are following the best practices or the good practices and what needs to happen. So we created an open source, our second project, pretty large application security workflow engine, or SOAR, as is the Gartner term, to unify all of application security and software security practice into workflows.
Cool. Again, thank you for joining us. I think you have a very good things in your hands. I would confess, the audience already knows about this. Maybe you're not, but I had my dream also of building my open source and my tool. But I was developer for maybe 12 years. But I don't have more time, this fully dedication to only this. If I would start it, I would never finish. That's my with all the challenges and so on. So
Exactly.
I really appreciate, and I would congratulate you for dedicating the time and efforts and so on to build this. And now we have a business and so on. It's like pretty nice, not only for the community, but for the whole security landscape, right? For the whole AppSec landscape. That's cool. Now I would start maybe with the first question, which is basically the main one. How you think or how you see your tool, your solution, business, etc. How you see them helping developers? Why this question? Not helping developers to be faster, more productive, but actually how to help developers to build secure software. I see a lot of companies and a lot of teams just avoiding, just being defensive, just saying we don't have time, just prioritizing everything in their lives. Even they scrolling on TikTok, but not prioritizing 1 minute configuration on a pipeline to scan the code or to scan the PR. This kind of things that it's familiar to everyone in DevSecOps and Appsec realm. So the first question is because of this. How you see I would say you, but consider you as a tool, as a business, helping developers to build secure software.
The truth, Casio, is that as application security professionals, we have failed developers. We try our best, and we've been trying our best for over 20 years to do all sorts of application security actions. We started with let's add firewalls and WAFs, and we moved on to SAST, and then the shift left approach, and now the shift everywhere approach. But our approach ends up always boiling down to more tools, more alerts, more scanning. When I'm as a developer or with my developer hat on, if I want to ship a feature because that's what I'm getting paid to do, I don't want to see 20,000 alerts who 90% or 99% are false positive based on our tests on every PR. This is impossible. It's an impossible level of noise to go through. And even if most of these alerts can be dismissed trivially, which is what most ASPMs try to focus on, this is still not great because it takes me the mental load it takes to sift through all of those alerts that scream at you critical. And I've even seen ASPMs try to attach potential monetary loss to every vulnerability. So they scream, your organization is gonna lose millions if you don't fix that. That doesn't help me. I already have a very stressful day. What actually would help is the ability to provide the right context, as ASPMs rightfully do, but also collect and combine all the tools that my awesome application security team have bought and spent their hard-earned money on, to combine signals from all those tools in an intelligent way so that I have all the information I need and I automatically can remove not only most of my noise because I know I have information from my CNAP, from my ASPM, things like that, but ideally fix automatically with very, very high conviction about what the fix will do. Because if I have all the context from all my third-party tools, CNAPs, ASPMs, etc., and if I have access to my fixing tool, then I can generate a fix and apply the fix with much higher conviction than if I need to do this manually. The problem is, very rightly, none of these vendors work with each other, and it makes sense. If I'm an ASPM vendor, I need to focus on adding the best kind of context and the most context. If I'm a CNAP vendor, I need to do the same thing, but for cloud. If I'm generating automated fixes, all my life goes into the AI part. So nobody does the black magic or the dark matter of connecting all of this together. That's where Smithy comes in, and that's why Smithy is open source, so that the community can create very deep, very robust integrations with all their vendors and all their solutions, free and paid, so that they can automate their lives away, and so that as a developer, I can remove up to 99.9% of noise and generate fixes for the remaining 0.1%.
Okay, that's very interesting because I'll take one part of what you told us. Noise, right? This is one of the how we call this. I miss the word in English. This is one of the worst problems I would say now in Appsec. It's noise. Not only Appsec, like in cybersec in general, right? SOC teams and so on. It's too many alerts and so on.
Yeah.
And this is it catches me sometimes. I'm still on the balance, like, do we should have this noise or not? And I'll give you the explanation why. I always imagine myself going to the doctor and say, like, doctor, this is my yearly checkup. I want to see if I have problem, if I'm healthy, and so on. The doctor will say, okay, here's a list of tests that you need to do on your blood, maybe some cardio stuff, and so on and so forth, like general checkup. And I might find some issue here and there regarding the I don't know, fat liver, kidney stones, the usual, or back pain or something like this. Or you might have some tumor somewhere in your brain, your heart, I don't know, that you might need a surgery urgent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this doctor, he had the ethical, I would say, even way or duty of saying to you, like, okay, you have the problem A, B, C, D, but we need to focus on the problem B because it can kill you, right? That's pretty obvious. Now, bringing the same scenario to our software development today, we know that each line of code is a bug or a vulnerability in potential, considering the whole Appsec the whole development landscape. All developers know how to code, but not know how to code defensive or protecting and so on. Let's go on this side, which means when we scan the code, when we test the code, we need to find the most, or the how to say this. We want to find a lot of problems, right? And that is, as you put it, like, very, very good. Okay, from all this 1,000 vulnerabilities I found here, you need to fix one or two that are very critical, actually, because you said you're going to enrich the data, give context here and there. But what we do with all the 998, because I know that we need to avoid this noise, and I agree. But as a security person, I still have this feeling that we still need to know about this 998, because tomorrow, as the same example of a blood test or something, tomorrow might be something more serious, So this maybe the next question would be something like, how you are working on this noise reduction. You don't need to go deep technical details, but how you are making sure that, okay, I'm giving you the context and, like, okay, this is priority to you, but not actually dismissing or just ignoring the rest. Again, let's consider in the middle of this you have false positives and so on, and then I assume that scanners and everybody's kind of doing a good job on reducing false positives. Still, it's mathematically impossible, but let's say 50% of this is false positive. You still have 500 vulnerabilities, right? So maybe that's the question. How you are trying to solve this problem? Okay, I'm giving you critical stuff to deal now. I'm your doctor, right? This can kill you, but all the rest can kill you tomorrow. We need to focus one day.
So I really love your parallel between security people being doctors and not the police, and application security and vulnerabilities being kind of signals that something might be wrong. You can choose to work on the three critical things that might kill you tomorrow, but then the rest are a signal, and they need to exist in your data lake. So that's why Smithy does not completely disappear findings, but just marks them as a do not report right now. You can still do an investigation, and when something new happens, go back in time and go into your data lake and figure out what's happened. However, what you decide is important. It really depends on your very specific circumstances right now. For example, you remember a vulnerability called Log4j from back in the day, right?
Everybody remember that.
Awesome. So who would care? Before Log4j, nobody cared ever about their logging libraries. Like, what vulnerability my logging libraries? There was no problem. The second it hits, you want a component, you want a check within like minutes that that you even have this finding, or like you even use this library before any vendor can update or push any new findings or any new rules. And you cannot do this if you rely on your vendors completely. You can do this if you have all the findings historically, and you have your data lake, and you can go back to your data lake and combine signals from different scans, right? Maybe, again, my Synapse said that this is available on the internet, and I have found out that I use this, and I have found out that I use that. And my threat intel said that companies like in my sector, or companies like me are getting attacked, and in my geolocation, things like that. You cannot do this unless you have all of this information together to make an investigation. That is a workflow. It's not a query or something else that you can do, right? It's the same as if you were a doctor, you have a patient who suddenly gained, 20 kilos and has had historically very high cholesterol. They are in a very, very high risk suddenly for a heart attack. At least that's what my local healthcare provider says, right? So it makes sense. But the high cholesterol by itself is a signal, but it's not like something fatal, right? Combined with everything else it is. But this is exactly the logic and exactly the rule and exactly the workflow. Let's combine all the signals together and leverage historical data, and suddenly we have the most important thing. But there is no amount of current context that can do that unless you have all this historical data and the ability to combine it in custom ways that are custom to you.
And even you added a very good point now about this. The timing is important, right? As you said, the cholesterol itself, it's nothing today. It's still high. But keeping high for a year, for 2 years, like diabetes, right? Okay, you have a high. I had done a lot of blood tests, and I had a bit of sugar level a bit higher because what I ate yesterday, because what I ate in the morning, but I didn't have diabetes. But it's different than having like too high for a week, for a month, for a year. Like, man, then you're gonna have a problem, right? Yeah. And why I ask this question, because I see a lot of vendors, and even the independent only in the vendors, but especially SaaS, but teams like, okay, I will dismiss this. Some vendors, once you dismiss something, they stop alerting on that, and it's still a problem. I used to say, like, it's the same as a husband. He go to the doctor, he has full of problem, but he comes home and the wife, how are you doing? No problem. Because if he say he has a problem, then he cannot drink anymore. He cannot eat his bacon, but he still have a problem. He still might be affected, impacted by that. So exactly. It's hiding. It will not change the problem. So I'm really afraid, I would say, how we are. I mean, I'm not afraid anymore how we are developing software. I know it's shit, unfortunately, but in general, 90%. But I'm afraid also how we are doing security on top of that, because we might be doing the false sensation of security, like dismissing things that we should be taking care. As you said, okay, you have your data lake, you need to get back in history of this, getting back in time of this. It's very important. Okay, cool. Maybe one other point to touch would be how you see as a professional, Spiros, how you see the professional side of the workers itself, Appsec teams, developers. How you see on your career people dedicating to study about, okay, I'm a developer, I want to study about input validation, I want to take care about my applications, or as an Appsec guy, I want to learn new tools, new ways of doing things, AI. How do you have some opinion on this? Have you seen something odd, or how it is?
Most developers and most application security people, at least I was lucky enough to meet, are very active, curious, and very smart people. However, as humans and as engineers specifically, we have a tendency to want to specialize on things. As an application security person, you might care about reversing or 0 days or mobile or DevSecOps. Very few people run into the will or the interest to work on whole Appsec programs. And you can see this in the various application security conferences in the world, where most of the talks are not on, hey, here's how to do a whole Appsec program start to finish. Most talks are either, here's how I hacked A, B, and C, or here's how to do DevSecOps or even metrics. Because that's how human brains work.
Mm-hmm.
Developers are the same, right? You have some developers who only care about messages, or only care about functional programming or Elixir or something like that. It is very, very rare to find a developer who cares about full stack and security and things like that. However, as an application security person, you can coax this behavior. You can train people to be the ones who want to, right? We are doctors, as you said. I would say physicians, because we just make recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
We're physicians. We're not the police. We can coax people or train them to be mindful of security and care about specific things. These are the typical security champions, right?
Okay, cool. Like this point as well, and I agree. I think nothing to add here. Just I have so many frustrations as developer than as AppSec. So I don't know. I need to be billionaire soon enough, so I need to stop caring about all those things. Uh,
You will be.
one other point maybe to touch would be how, because I imagine, as you said, you need to connect to different data sources on your solution. You connect to different security tools, ticketing, cloud, etc., etc. How much collaboration you have from them in order to integrate? For example, you want to integrate with Sneak because you need to collect scanners data. You need to integrate with, I don't know, Azure to get. So basically, you need to study their APIs, pray for them to don't change next version so you not break your application. Or do you have collaboration from these vendors? If you can talk about something about like this, there's no secret or something like this.
No, there is no secrets. That's why we're open source. The community has a fantastic power, and as a bonus, changing APIs is a gigantic pain. You wouldn't change an API as a vendor if you really did not have a very, very strong need to do that. This combined with a wonderful community of very smart, very dedicated volunteers, and the best team I've ever worked with here at Smithy, whom have created a very, very strong SDK that makes it very easy to write integrations, allows us to have right now over 50 integrations, if memory serves, with different vendors, different
50?
tools. Yeah, 50.
50. Okay, nice.
With different vendors, both like SAST, DAST, SCA, CNAP, ASPM, but also smaller things, right? Like we write on Discord or
Mm-hmm.
GitHub or GitLab, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And or container scanning or secret scanning, etc. So all these allow us to respond fast, and with having written a very large number of libraries and connectors and utilities that allow us to map quickly, allows us to create integrations with 60 lines of code and maybe in an afternoon or a couple of days. So it's not us who always create the integration. Sometimes the fantastic community of people who use Smithy were lucky enough to get a contribution of an integration. This combined with the fact that vendors are quite happy for somebody to use their tool because it removes the barrier for vendors to sell, because it removes the barrier of, oh, I don't have time for your integrations. Allows the vendors to focus exactly on what they need to.
Okay, that's cool. Now maybe two more questions regarding the tool or the business itself. First one is, imagine I am a company. I have X number of developers. I have never done any scan, anything. I know nothing about Appsec. I want to start. Is Smithy something to me to start, or is something to me when I will have more maturity?
You're speaking about the 0 to 1 journey.
Mhm.
This is fantastic because we have been doing exactly the 0 to 1 journey with several clients, several partners for the past year and a bit. The idea behind the 0 to 1 journey is simple. Get in a Smithy instance, plug either the GitHub, like the application or the webhook or the integration for wherever you write code and wherever you deploy infrastructure and wherever you deploy images. We're going to do the rest, and we're going to give you single-digit vulnerabilities every day for you to deal with. Even if you have 1 million criticals at the beginning, we're not going to spam you with 1 million criticals. That guarantees that you're never going to deal with them. We're going to prioritize them, and you're going to get the five to 9 criticals every day. But they're going to be 5 to 9 until we reduce them. But because we reduce noise, Smithy open source and Smithy Pro can reduce noise by a good 90%. What you get is a very low number of vulnerabilities for you to deal with. And with the ability that we have where we can fix or suggest fixes very, very often, you just need to click a button, and if your unit tests have passed, that's it. That's your 0 to 1.
Okay, so because I see companies like, oh, I need integrated in my pipeline. Oh, I need threat modeling. I need WAF. Like they are just, I see them running here and there without actually a plan, without actually knowing what they do. They hear about DevSecOps or Appsec. They need to start because of compliance or something, or they just actually want to do cybersec instead of just being compliance, which is totally different things. And sometimes it's lack of tooling or lack of companies that help them to get there. By themselves, sometimes they will not achieve. So this is what you said is cool. Yeah, go on.
This is true. This is absolutely true. And these companies usually are headed by a security person, or even they have no security people, and they're headed by a CTO who's lost. And it is very simple to be lost in today's noise. There is 1 million solutions out there. Luckily, there is several very, very strong maturity models, both DSOM, for example, DevSecOps maturity model, and SAM, software assurance maturity model, that give you actions that you need to do. Because we kept running onto this and we didn't want to appear as if we are selling services or as if we need to educate our partners, we build an open source a Wayfinder utility on our website where you have your whole DevSecOps path. You have several maturity models on the left, and you can choose vendors, both open source and free tools, both open source / free tools and paid ones, to put in several stages of your maturity journey, so that you can investigate how these could affect your maturity score, so that you can find what is the next step. This is not the most complete solution out there. There is others like the Summit tool from the wonderful people over at Codific, but it is a solution. so that you don't need to feel lost anymore by trying to search for an ASPM and getting more than 20 options, for example.
Cool. And myself, I do some consulting usually, and because of experience, of course, it's easy to see some process, some structure, and give some guidance. But usually, when the companies come to me like, "Oh, so we need this, and that," and like, "Okay, tell me how is it today? Oh, today is like this, like this." Like, no. You're on the wrong path. I don't know who told you that. You can either trust me or we go to OSPSAM. As you said, there is free framework to tell you exactly how your maturity level with some parameters, etc., etc. And as soon as you don't lie on the interview
Exactly.
or on the answers, to give you the clarity, like, okay, here we are, here where we want to go, and you can even, of course, estimate costs, time, and so on and so forth. Good that you mentioned. Actually, we recorded my assistant's not here today, but we recorded maybe in season 3, if I'm not wrong, one episode about OASP-SAN. It's in Portuguese, sorry folks, but it's a pretty nice pretty nice episode. Okay, Spiros, next question.
Segurança, tecnologia, DevSecOps.
It's working. Next question would be, you mentioned a pro version, right? Can you talk about pricing? Can you talk about how what is the difference between them? Why people should go to the pro and not only the upper source and so on?
Sure, absolutely. So we open sourced Smithy to give everybody who has the capability to do DevSecOps by themselves the ability to connect all of their components and all of their program. So Smithy open source is the SDK and the workflow engine, so that you can run any amount of tools in your CI/CD or outside of it, and gain a data lake, a security data lake, a very strong one in a standardized format, so you don't need to normalize yourself. While building Smithy Pro and testing it with several partners, we ended up needing to create front ends for mostly compliance purposes and auditing purposes. So our partners kept getting asked, "Can you prove that you did scanning?" And they couldn't do that for enough teams to satisfy an auditor, or they had to go in and gather evidence manually. They also didn't know how to do all the enterprise stuff like single sign-on, because then we had to build a front end to collect the audit evidence. Then you need single sign-on. Then we had to make Smithy scale for over 5 million workflow executions a day. To do that, we had to make every workflow execution parallelizable so that we could do smarter things like smart scheduling. All of these things are in the Smithy Pro. Plus a few very, very expensive on the execution AI things like AI on-prem and stuff like that, that only very large enterprises will need. Most of us, or most people don't. So that we can serve edge cases or very large enterprises that need, for example, automatic remediation on premise, plus evidence gathering on premise, plus custom policies and all these things that 99% of us don't. So Smithy free, Smithy open source, SDK, basic workflows cover most people. Smithy Pro, complete automation end-to-end, create the workflows yourself, fix, connect to things like Wiz, very expensive platforms that you would, if you have money to pay, you might as well pay something extra for Smithy, and which help people who want to be completely hands-off. They don't want to care.
And it's, I assume, is it SaaS as well, or you have on-premise version?
It's SaaS or on-prem, and it is the only solution, at least I know, and I searched quite a lot, that does this.
Cool. That's pretty cool. I'll buy myself, actually. Just for me, just to say, okay, I have it. I don't even develop anymore.
For you, it's free.
No, yeah, no, that's funny because I've seen already the work. Even the company I work today, we have 12, 9 actually. We reduced with 9 different scanners. It's secret, SaaS, SCA here, there, and it's 2 issues: noise and orchestration. We
Yeah.
need to define, for example, centralized policy management. We have to scan every PR. It's not this team PR or that team PR. It's everyone. And we have Bitbucket, GitLab, even SearchSafe, everything that you can imagine.
Exactly.
So who could integrate of everything, and I can manage in one place whatever the PR happen. It will hook that, trigger the scans, collect all the data, open a ticket on Jira or whatever. And this is what people might be, how to say, drawing too many things around, and they don't know how to centralize, because it's some moment you need this centralization, right? It's pretty hard to manage all these tools separate. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, you said it perfectly. You need your
Yeah.
control panel, your centralized brain. That's it.
Exactly. I had a boss. He used to say, like, imagine a car without dashboard, right? You don't know the speed, you don't know the gas level, whatever. You can go from point A to point B without any issues, but you usually need these informations, right? Speed limit, etc., etc. So this dashboard it's your guide at the same time as your, if you have problems, it will alert you.
In Appsec, it's not that we don't have any dashboards, right? In Appsec, imagine a car where every single surface is a dashboard, but also a control. You shift a little bit on your seat, and the car changes direction, right? Or maybe your speedometer is in the back window because that's where that specific manufacturer decided to beat the speedometer, right? It's not because it's not all made by the same
Exactly.
person. It doesn't have any thought around it. It is combination, like a Frankenstein car, like a Franken car, and there is nothing to connect it all together. So that's why, you change your seat a bit, and then the car shifts left.
Cool analogy. Spiros, I have one more point here. Let me just run my introduction.
Dev may cry.
We have the Dev May Cry session, which is always the cast on the podcast, the guest, and so on. We always say something. This moment where we fight with developers. I love I was a developer myself. I still coding, but we're now security. So we always say something fun to make the developer cry. Fun and real, right? What would make developers cry? You can think about something. I have something in mind. Would be something like this. Now all the development teams on company A, they would have all the scanners for free, the best scanners ever. SaaS, SCA, DAS, everything. But then they need to manage each one of them, all the issues separately. So the SaaS solution is one, they need to go to their dashboard or panel to find all the issues, click on the details, then come back to code to see where is it and fix and so on. And then you have the DAS scanner, which is another one on-prems that you need to access only with a VM under the VPN, and then you need to access that, So you have 13 different tools that you need to access to manage your issues and find your vulnerabilities and where the problem in your application. So that would be my dev may cry of today, to make developers cry. Sometimes they need to cry.
Okay. So mine is, I'm going to build on yours. Mine is exactly yours with untuned tools. Imagine a DAS that gives you PHP vulnerabilities while you code in Go, and a SaaS that does exactly the same thing. Like, here's my PHP 1.0 vulnerability, but with an SLA of critical needs to be solved within a day.
Awesome. This SLA gives this flavor of desperation. No features, no nice things, no lunchtime anymore. You need to you need to stop everything to deal with these false positives and all this shit. Yeah, cool. Maybe to make it even better, all this could be, each one could export an Excel spreadsheet that they need to download locally, you know.
Here's a
And
PDF
then manage
file.
on the
Yeah,
Excel or a PDF. Yeah, Excel it's even easier to navigate. Right?
yeah,
PDF would
exactly.
be perfect. Yeah, let's make their life harder. Okay, cool. 2-3 episodes ago, guys, there was an awesome Devil May Cry regarding compliance, or actually regarding training. So you need to watch this episode. 2 or 3 episodes ago, one of our cast members was describing this about the trainings. Man, it's crazy. I gave up already on the first sentence that he said. Like, you go to the training and you need to see like slide 1/50. So you need then you need to go like over hours of training. Yeah, cool. Spiros, I think we are on our time. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing all this valuable information. I think Smithy has a lot of potential, and for sure I will discuss with my team. Like, guys, we have a potential here. Let's see what can be beneficial for us. Any final message? Any final advice? Any kiss or hugs to family? I don't know.
Not really. Final message, I guess, is security has to be only as hard as you need it to be. If you automate aggressively everything, and if you're not afraid to miss vulnerabilities, you can make your life significantly easier, plus the life of those who you serve, which is the engineering part of the company, the people that actually make the money. So don't be afraid to be aggressive on automation, and don't afraid to be aggressive on noise reduction.
Cool. Thank you for that again. I believe we see. I mean, audience. You, of course, you are already invited for the next episode. But I believe we see everybody on next episode. See you next week. Hopefully, I'll be alone again without Marcos and Benur here, because my voice is much more fun. Guys, see you. Spiros, thank you one more time.
Thank you very much, Cassio.
That was DevSecOps, your cybersecurity and technology podcast. DevSecOps, finishing now.
Hello, this episode is over. Thanks for watching, and I really appreciate if you share this content with your friends, with your co-workers. For sure they will enrich their knowledge as well, as the same as you just did when you listen or watch it to this specific episode of DevSecOps podcast. We really enjoy that you were here with us, so please share this content, share this knowledge. And here there's 2 more contents that I strongly recommend you to watch now or save for later, but don't miss out. For sure you will enrich even more your knowledge.